get too far into it, but it's physical, emotional, cognitive, spiritual, social. That's how you interact in the world. That's the only ways you interact in the world. Unfortunately, most people focus on physical, maybe cognitive, which is their work, their identity, their self. So they're all worried about their physical and that work. That's a limited. You got 2 out of 5 areas. The rest of the areas are garbage. But those 2 areas they're functional in. And they think that's the entirety of their life, when it's just a fraction of your existence. It's just a fraction of who you are. Ask most people, who are you? What are they going to say? Well, I'm an electrician. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a nurse. I'm a mailman. I'm a driver. I'm a UPS person. They associate that with their entirety. That's their existence. That's their self-esteem. That's their self-worth. And it shouldn't be. You're right. We're 5-dimensional. You're taking one and then trying to extrapolate that into your being. That's not who you are as a person. That's not who you are in relationships and how you treat others and the people you love. That's not how you are in nature. That's not how you interact with yourself. So why would you put all of that into one area of your life and ignore all the rest? That's why people fall. Because you're only as strong as what? Your weakest link. And though you have the potential to be great and prosperous and well and stable, you're not utilizing it. And you're not utilizing it because you're ignorant of it. You just don't know. Or you're afraid. Most of the things that we suffer from isn't because we can't fix it, isn't because we aren't aware. Why is it? Fear. It's fear. That's the only thing that will stop you from making changes in life, in reaching your potential, is fear. Think about it. There's nobody in here that isn't capable of changing their life infinitely for the better. Nobody. You don't even have to be good or smart or motivated to do that. So to say that someone doesn't have the capacity to do that is a lie. So why don't you do it? Why? If I said, hey, I'll triple your income, would you want me to do that? Of course, everybody would. You'd be telling, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Well, wouldn't you want to better your life 3 times over, 4 times over? Make it wonderful and prosperous? Everybody says yes. Everybody in here shaking, yeah, I would love that. Then why haven't you done it? Why? Everybody's thought about it. Everybody's been on that precipice several times. Why didn't you do it? It's always the same answer. It's the same answer every time. What is it?
I don't know.
Fear. Fear makes you not know. Fear makes you afraid. Fear makes you insecure. Fear makes you worried. How do you handle fear?
Face it.
You have to face it. And if you don't know how, or if you don't have coping skills, if nobody showed you, if nobody's modeled that behavior, if nobody's allowed you to practice that growing up in childhood, how are you going to do it? The answer is you won't. And that's why most people are stuck. Not because they can't, because they won't. That's a personal choice. The only thing stopping you is education, insight, understanding. That's what you're here for, I hope. If you're not, that's fine too. I can't force you into anything, but I've got the answers. I have the answers. What's funny is you have the answers, you just don't know it. There's nothing I tell you in here you don't already know. I just say it in a way that you'll understand. I say it in a way you need to hear. Because I practiced at it for so long and I've been through it. That's the only difference. There's nothing I could tell you in here you're going to go, wow, that's spectacular. He's so smart. You're going to go, shit, I knew that. Right?
Yeah.
You're saying that now. I see people going, I can already know that. So why not? And again, sometimes you have to hear things the right way. Sometimes you have to see things the right way. Sometimes you need the motivation to understand things the right way. That's what education is. That's what experience is. So we have to start from a baseline, and that's what we're going to learn. Where do we start? We have to first recognize, where are we in this whole mess? And then what do I need to do? We have to make a plan. That's what you're here to learn. What's your plan? How are we going to do it? What are your resources? Where are you lacking? What were you missing? Why don't you have all that stuff? We have to answer all those questions first. We have to figure out what happened, why it happened. We have to come to grips with that. Then we have to move forward, and then we have to make a game plan. Then we have to be competent enough to be able to implement that plan, and then we got to do it. So it's not easy. The acts are easy, but the planning and the understanding part is hard. You know why? Because you're going to hear the truth. That's why you're afraid. That's why most people are afraid. The truth. You're afraid of the truth. Your brain is wired to not want to understand the things that are bad and harmful and hurtful to you. It tries to avoid it at all cost because it lives on the pleasure principle. That's literally how you're designed anatomically, to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So to accept the truth of what happened, why, and accept responsibility is disadvantageous for the brain to accept. So it distorts your reality and makes you want to run from it and hide from it and distort your chemistry in your brain through drugs and alcohol and behaviors so you don't have to deal with it. And then it just learns to tolerate it. And that's how most people live. And to me, that's vile and disgusting because it's not necessary. Everybody understand that? Does anybody disagree with that, or is this kind of common sense? Okay, so that's our journey in here. That's what we're going to be talking about. And dysfunction comes from all kinds of places. Mostly from childhood. Mostly from childhood. And it comes from inadequate parenting. It comes from environment. There's some genetic component to it, but that would be small compared to the influence of parenting and environment and other things and learning. So we have to go back to those areas, the ones that we've been running from our whole life. Does anybody like to talk about traumas in their past? No. When's the last time you all got around at your friends and had a party to talk about trauma, your childhood trauma? Hey, let's have a childhood trauma party, right? Who's going to come? Nobody. Okay, maybe I would. But other than that, it seems idiotic, right? It's laughable. But that's the very thing we have to do. And here's the funny thing, and you all know this because you'll start shaking your head when I say this. The very thing that will fix everything is the very thing you won't do. Think about that. In order to get better, it's right in front of you. It's the very thing you don't want to do is what you have to face. That's the very thing you have to confront. And everybody knows that. What's the one thing you avoid? Those things. And what's the one thing that'll fix it? Those things. You think it's a coincidence they're the same thing? No. How many people want to do that? Zero. Nobody wants to do that. Now, how many people will do that? The people that were trained early on. That failure is a part of success. That pain and sacrifice is necessary for success and happiness and pleasure. And they've learned by overcoming small obstacles. And then bigger obstacles. And bigger obstacles. Simultaneously increasing coping skills, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. And desensitizing fear. And change. And conflict. And after a while, they get so proficient at it, they don't even recognize it as conflict. They don't recognize it as fear. It's just something to do. And that's the successful people. That's the well-adjusted people. That's the prosperous people. And I don't mean just financially, because you can have lots and lots of finance and be successful in that one area and be a miserable wreck. So by no means is success measured by financial gain in any way, shape, or form. It has to do with peace of mind. It has to do with happiness. It has to do with contentment. In prosperity, what I mean by that is your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your relationships, your emotional well-being, and your spiritual well-being. That is the ultimate report card of success. Okay? And that's where we're going, if you want. Okay? So, anyways, I don't mean to be preachy about that. I know it's kind of cringy, but it's important.